Welcome to Fearless Females, where ambition meets resilience. Meet your guide, Lorie Jones, owner of Fearless Financial Advisors. Join her and remarkable women executives as they uncover the triumphs and transformative moments shaping extraordinary careers. Ready to be fearless? Let the journey begin.
Good morning. I'm so excited you all are joining me here again today, and I am so excited about the guest we have today. So shout out to Fearless Financial Advisors for sponsoring the podcast. And the guest we have today is Stacey Ray. And any of you that know me, I love talking about traveling, doing some traveling. Adventuring is my middle name. You can always find me planning a trip, taking a trip, going on my kids with a trip, dreaming about taking a trip. I love the idea of travel. And that is what Stacey does for a living. She grew this travel agency called Sisterhood Travels. And not only is it travel, but it's the idea of traveling with other women. It's the idea of being in sisterhood. And I just love every single thing about that idea. But the thing that she said that really stuck with me and that really made an impression on me is when she said, I believed in myself when no one else did. And she talked a little bit about the idea of, we have ideas, and a lot of times we'll believe in the ideas, but we don't believe in ourselves. And so she said, people love to believe in their own ideas, but we never believe in ourselves as much as the idea. And she said, you learn to believe in yourself first. If you believe in yourself first, the ideas you become more confident about your ideas and they can grow. And Stacey knows this because she started this travel agency when she should have been retiring. All my clients would be ready to sit down, take it easy, not do anything. And she just grew this great big business, and not only a business, but like a movement, all because she believed in this idea. And I love that she shares that passion with us. So let's get started. Good morning, Fearless Females. So today our guest is Stacey Ray. She's the founder and CEO of Sisterhood Travels, and my personal, just who I want to be when I grow up. I have looked at what you've done, Stacey. I'm so excited to have this conversation with you, and I cannot tell you how much I appreciate you being on the show.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much, Lorie. It is my honor and pleasure to be here. I love talking about this, and especially with someone who's a kindred spirit. So, yay.
I love the idea. I think the thing that I love most is I just love the idea of sisterhood travels, of finding women in all different areas of life and the world who you can kind of bring together and connect and build that bond, because that idea of sisterhood really hits me in a deep spot. So I love that you do that, and I can't wait for my listeners to hear a little bit more about that.
Thank you so much.
So my first question is always, I'm a reader. I love reading. Any and all suggestions? What's your favorite book?
Oh boy. Well, I've got to tell you, my favorite book of all time is The Captain and the Kings by Taylor Caldwell. It's an oldie but goodie. It's a historical fiction novel. And it's very subtly a story, I think, of the Kennedys. But that's one of my most favorite books. And then I absolutely loved Jonathan Livingston Seagull. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think I loved it because I loved the premise of flying and being free.
Yeah, that idea of freedom speaks to you, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Well, I love that. I haven't read either one of them, and I have a stack that just keeps getting bigger and bigger.
I know, right?
But I'm like, I need to schedule at least a 3-week vacation to a beach so I can read all these books, right?
And then if you could focus instead of sleeping and napping at the beach, that would really be great, right?
I know, it does tend to, some naps come into that for sure.
I know.
Tell me a little bit about what you do. Tell my listeners about your journey. Like, how did you get started? How did you get where you are today? And kind of what do you do? Tell us a little bit about you.
Okay. Well, I actually worked in healthcare for
Mhm.
over 30 years. My husband passed away in 2017. And, he and I had traveled the world, and there was nowhere that we didn't want to go, quite frankly.
Uh-huh.
And so that's what we did. And, we actually said the one thing that will be great is when we both die, we won't have any regrets because we will have done what we wanted to do. And we didn't want to spend our lives putting money into what I call stuff around the house. We
Mhm.
wanted to use our money to create memories. And I always joke, I say, I'm always going to be one of those ladies someday that might be in a memory care unit, and I'll be talking about all these trips, and they'll go, oh, that poor thing, like she thinks she was there, but I really was. So,
Yeah.
but anyway, my husband passed away in 2017. And after I got through the really, I'll
Hard
call it
to.
my catatonic paralytic state of the
Mm.
next couple of years, I realized that I did still want to travel. I did want to still venture out. And I didn't know how to do that because all of my friends were either still working. I was 58 at the time. My friends were still working, or they were busy with grandchildren, or they had no interest in travel, or they had no money. The list goes on. And I kept thinking there's got to be other women like me. And so I decided, kind of on a whim, to start a company where solo women could travel together. I was very experienced. I had my side hustle was group travel anyway, and I had a company to do that I had kind of put on hold while my husband was sick. And long story short, I decided without much forethought or research or anything, and I don't recommend that normally for a business, I was going to try to put together this company. And so I immediately decided I wanted to call it Sisterhood Travels because I really wanted it to be clear what we do, that we're for women and we're about friendship and connection. And so I did. And I do recall when I was starting this, someone that I really had respected in the industry said, that's an awful name for your company. That's terrible. Nobody's going to want to do that. And I said, well, with all due respect, it's what I'm going to do. So in any event, right after COVID, we were able to get started. So 2023, we took our first official trip to Iceland.
Mhm.
We grew from about 250 members in our Facebook group. I have a private Facebook group that I set up, and
Mhm.
we started about 250 women who were, I think, friends and friends of friends and family who maybe felt sorry for me, and they were like, "Okay, I'll support her." And we now have just about 46,000 highly engaged members.
Wow.
And it's still a private group. We have our public stuff, but this group is meant to be a safe, supported, what I call sisterly site, where we
Mhm.
talk about the trips, but we also show compassion and positivity and things like that. So we never spent a dollar on advertising.
Mhm.
We grew by word of mouth, and we just started selling out trips like
Yeah.
faster than I could produce them. And it's been amazing to get to this point because I've learned something really profound. Travel is the vehicle to achieve our mission, and our mission is truly to connect women at an age where that is extremely difficult.
Yeah.
And true friendships and true relationships are being made. These aren't like drive-bys where I saw you on the trip, bye, maybe I'll see you again sometime in my lifetime. These are real friendships that are being
Yeah.
made.
Yeah. I love that. You know, if you look at your site, you've got like, you can sign up to find a friend basically, right? During the trip, you can sign up and you're like, hey, if you want me to match you with somebody,
Yeah.
which
Yeah, we do roommate matching. It's been extremely successful. I'll tell you a funny story because we ask very little.
Uh-huh.
You know, we know your age and we know where you're from, and we ask you if you smoke. That's it. Not because we ban smokers, but because we wouldn't put a smoker in with a non-smoker in a roommate match. And we get a lot of women who go, can't you find out if they snore? You know, things like that. And I'm always like, look, we're not a dating service, number one, because they want to ask all these different questions. I'm like, but number two, first of all, most people don't even know if they snore. You might be a snorer and not know it. So, no, we don't ask that. We recommend you get some earplugs or something, but we have an excellent success rate with our roommate matches. And yes, many of them go on to not only travel on other trips, but together.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. I think that's so neat because it isn't like a business that you're building. It's like you said, it isn't the trips that are the thing. It's that idea of sisterhood and coming together and finding connection and finding someone who loves to do what you do.
Yeah.
And you might find someone to fill that empty spot that,
yes.
you know, that person
and
is
that's
missing.
the thing that I've noticed is that, you know, we actually don't work at selling the trip per se as much as we do the experience.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that's really important to me when I create all these itineraries is, and yes, I'm still doing that, is that every single itinerary reflects who we are and what we're about and what women of a certain age want and expect. And so, we don't do budget trips because we can't, when you do a budget trip, you cannot produce the experiences that we want to offer. Every experience is designed to make sure it's inclusive and it's an opportunity for you to really meet women who you may have many common interests in. But the biggest part is that we all come to the table with a story, right? A story of loss or challenges or sadness, whatever the case may be, or triumph, you know, certainly that. Whatever that story is, it is so easy to feel like I'm the only one.
Oh, yeah.
And then you come on this trip and you find out, wait a minute, no, I'm not. That girl, Lorie, she knows exactly what I'm going through.
Mm-hmm.
She's been there herself. And so it's support in a whole different way because look, you know, I'm a widow. I meet plenty of other widows and our circumstances are all different. I mean, we don't have the exact same story.
Right.
We do have commonalities, like we all hear that people think, gee, I wonder how long she's going to milk that one, you know, from someone who's never been widowed.
Oh, yeah.
Or for those of us who are not divorced, we're like, God, I can't believe she's like still pining after him, or, you know, like things like that. Like all of these judgments, our group is a no judgment zone. And that is exemplified by the spirit of the women who travel with us.
Mm-hmm.
We do not allow toxic negativity. We have a very firm code of conduct. And so we apply that code of conduct not only to the Facebook group, but also to the way in which you speak to our team, dealing with them. And my thought is we have zero tolerance for mean girl syndrome because
I love that. That's what I was just going to say. You don't allow mean girls. I love that.
Do not. And I will tell you this, and I think your listeners will be reassured by this, especially those who maybe haven't found their voice yet. We don't allow it. And I don't allow it in the group. I don't allow it in the way that you speak to our team. Because if that's the way you're behaving before you even come on a trip with us, what can we expect when you're on the trip? And I'm sorry, everyone on that trip has paid a lot of money to have a most wonderful experience, and you don't get to ruin it for them.
Yeah. Oh.
And conversely, though, we teach women, not that we have to teach very hard, because most of our women are so amazing, but they show grace to each other because, some days are harder than others, right? So, someone who's been bebopping along, having a great time, and today they're not their usual friendly, nice self. We don't know what today is. Maybe it's the anniversary of their husband or their child or their parents' death, or, maybe they have aches and pains so severe and they don't want to talk about it. You don't know what people are going through. So on the one hand, no toxic negativity, no mean girl syndrome. On the other, let's show compassion and grace and kindness.
Oh my goodness.
And it's a perfect storm, if you will.
I love it. I really do love all of those values. They're just speaking to me. One of my core values is kindness. And I feel like the whole world could be changed if we were just a little bit more kind in a lot of ways.
I always say it takes so much less effort to be kind than it does to be mean.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't you opt for the time saver, if nothing else, right?
So, Stacey, tell me a little bit about the best investment that you've made in yourself throughout your journey in your career. Was there something that you've done that you're like, oh my gosh, I wouldn't be where I'm at today if I didn't do this?
Yeah, I think my best investment was believing in myself when nobody else did. I've had many, 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 many ideas in my life for businesses and things like that, although, I always had my job. But I found that I would self-sabotage. I would listen to all the outside voices and I would finally chuck myself out of it.
Mm-hmm.
The best investment that I made was believing in this because it was never about money.
Mm-hmm.
It was selfish. I wanted to travel and I wanted other women to travel with. And I realized my selfish desire is probably the desire of so many women. And so there were a lot of naysayers. And quite frankly, there weren't many companies doing what I wanted to do. There are other companies out there that do women only travel, but they are strictly about the trips.
Mm-hmm.
And they're about the bottom line. And we're not. We still are not. Which is why I am, quite frankly, the lowest paid person in my company. But it was, believing in myself took a real act of faith. Because it wasn't that I was lacking in confidence. I was lacking in the confidence to see it through, even when other people were telling me, I don't think this will work.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're narrowing yourself too much, blah, blah, blah. And so it's been a joy to watch what we've achieved, knowing that it was my vision.
Yeah. How did you get past because you did listen to the naysayers early on and this time you didn't. Was it just like your heart was telling you can't not do this, or like how did you get past it this time?
I'll be honest with you. So I originally came up with the concept right before COVID. And we weren't aware that COVID was going to happen. And I had retired from healthcare because after going through what I went through with my husband, I was like, I can't step foot in a hospital again.
Oh, yeah.
And I was kind of at that place in my life at that point where I had zero purpose, none. I mean, I really was at the point where my daughter would text me and say, have you eaten today? Have you taken a shower today? I mean, I just like sit on the couch in my husband's seat in a block and just stare into space for hours and hours, day after day, month after month. And so when I started thinking this idea and people were telling me, I don't think this is such a hot idea, I kept working on it anyway. And then COVID hit. Well, as it would turn out, my license had gone inactive and my licensure board was begging us to come back to the hospital. We're desperate. And I was watching and I was like, wow, I prepared for this my whole career. Never thought it would happen. Mm-hmm. So I kind of woke up one day and I was like, you know what? I have nothing to lose. If something happens to me and I get sick, it's okay. I've had a great life. I had like this whole philosophical attitude. Well, I went back to the hospital. I worked in ICU with the COVID patients and the non-COVID ICU patients for 19 months. And in that 19 months, I saw more people die than I had seen cumulatively in my 30-plus year career.
Oh, my gosh.
And I'm going to say something that a lot of people don't understand, but all that death and horror brought me back to life. And I was bound and determined that I was going to make the rest of my life worth it. And nobody was going to stop me from living. Yes, my husband is gone. I'm devastated. I miss him. Look, it's 7 years. I still miss him, okay? Mm-hmm. That's not going to change. But what changes, I woke up one day and said, today is the day I start living again. And that was the epiphany for me, that I was willing to shut those outside voices up and even some of the internal ones and say no. And I think especially knowing how much people have been locked up and cooped up and alienated, and for older women, there is nothing worse. I mean, they couldn't see their kids. They couldn't see anybody. Mm-hmm. I said, no, not going to do it.
I love that. I just will sit with that story for a minute, because it's really powerful to think that your heart was telling you, like, this is not who I am.
Right.
I am going to be this person.
That's right.
And you put on those blinders and you're like, anything outside of this is not
I did. And it felt good, Lorie. It felt really good. People would say to me, gosh, you seem happier than you have in a long time. And they go, don't you have PTSD? And I go, of course I do. Mm-hmm. I'm not focusing on that. I mean, would I go back to work in the hospital now? Of course not. Mm-hmm. But that's not the point. I learned so many lessons from loss. Mm-hmm. And it's that I get to choose how I want that loss to play out in my life. And I want to see it as something powerful that can change the world for good. And that really was what I kept thinking was, if I do this, because I'll tell you, when I first started, I did everything myself. Mm-hmm. I created the itineraries. I did all the bookings. I worked with all the suppliers. I managed all the logistics. I handled all the communications, the website, 100% to do it. And I was like, this is happening.
Yeah.
Slowly but surely, we were able to build up the team, to the degree. And even now we have a lean team because, travel is not a high profit margin industry.
Yeah.
I know people think I must have this,
lavish lifestyle.
Yeah. Trust me, that is not the case. I'm just like everybody else. But what I do have enriches is friendships and heart and soul and joy. And that's the biggie, because I started to feel joy again. And I don't care how much money you have in the bank, it will never replace that feeling of joy.
Yeah.
And joy is different than happiness, as you know.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
We can all feel relatively happy, but joy, that's very visceral, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's a feeling that just comes deep from inside of you, and it exudes out of you as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What about, not regrets exactly, but is there a situation that you can kind of look at along your journey where you would be like, oh gosh, if I knew then what I know now, I definitely would have done that differently?
I would say, honestly, I've always been very blasé about money. And it's kind of like this attitude I've had in my mind. I think I can always make more. I'll make more. So if I spend it all now, it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I never went into debt to fund my travel. I didn't even go into debt to fund my company. Okay. Very proud of that.
I am too.
But I've never saved for a rainy day. That's a bit of a regret for me because now I feel compelled. It's a double-edged sword. I need to work to make sure that I can, feel comfortable in it's not like I don't have a stinking penny, but I certainly don't have enough to just close up shop and go do my thing. But the flip side of that is I can't imagine not working and doing something I love so much. Now, does that mean my body will cooperate with that? My mind will cooperate with that? I don't know. But I would say that's my biggest regret is that I did not plan for my future like many of my friends who I always secret. I used to say they're so cheap. Why won't you go out and enjoy yourself? Well, the laugh was on me a little bit because they've got plenty to do whatever they want to do now.
Yeah.
But then I always convince myself, well, I don't know about tomorrow. I don't know if I'll have tomorrow. I'm going to live for today.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
that idea, that's so interesting because that idea of like a freedom, of having freedom of choice, it sounds like what you regret is just not having as much freedom of choice. You may still choose to do what you're doing today. You may still choose it.
Right.
But the freedom of choice. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you could high five your past self for one financial decision, what would it be and why?
Ooh. If I could high five myself for one financial decision. Okay. I pay cash for everything. I do not live on credit. I have credit. I don't live on it. And I do high five myself for this all the time. If I can't pay cash, I can't have it. Now, will I put it on a credit card and pay the balance this month? Of course. I'm not stupid. I want my points and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I owe nobody.
Yeah.
Other than my house, that kind of thing. But I don't owe credit cards. I'm not in debt. I always laugh when I'll get something like, oh, we can refinance your blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, don't need to. Yeah. That's a big high five for me.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah.
And something really important that you must have learned early on too, like, because there is that sense of like.
I'll tell you when I learned it. I learned it when I was much, much younger and thought money grew on trees and racked up about $250,000 worth of debt on credit cards.
Oh, wow.
Back in the day, and ended up having to declare bankruptcy. And that was a bazillion years ago. And I've actually never said that out loud in public, but I think it's important to acknowledge because I learned this is not a thing. What did you do? What were you thinking? I didn't even need that stuff. I didn't even know what Lorie, I could not tell you what the money was spent on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
funny. My husband was a retired Marine and he had hundreds of troops that reported to him. And he said that the hardest thing always for him was the young, I'll call them newbies because I can't remember all the terms he used, but they would come in and he would get called in. This was back in the, earlier days of the military before, when people actually wrote checks.
Mm-hmm.
And the banks would call, and these kids were like completely overdrawn on their accounts. And he'd go, like, you've got all these bad checks. What are you doing? They all kept saying to him, but I thought as long as I had checks, I had money.
Oh, no. Oh,
And it
no.
always reminds me of that. It's like, well, as long as I have the cards, I can spend them.
Mm-hmm.
And that was back in the day. And, right after women were allowed to get their own credit cards, it was like the wild, wild west. There was not a credit card I didn't have.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Gas cards, airline cards, any card you can imagine.
Yeah.
And I learned my lesson. I said, never, ever, 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 ever again.
It's important, I think, to remember that you learned that lesson and you lived by it the rest of your life. Like,
yes.
Sometimes we have to learn the lessons the hard way. I've found it with myself. I found it with my kids. I found it with, the people I talk to. We can't learn from other people's experience, but sometimes that niggling, the sharing of that experience, does help.
It does.
Yeah.
And I've been very blessed. I mean, I've always worked very, very hard. Nobody's ever given me anything. But I can tell you that, while I may owe a mortgage on my house, 100% everything in it and outside of it is paid for in full, in cash. So I can sleep at night. And that was always one of the things that my husband said about travel. We would never take a trip that we owed money on, because the thought of coming home and now having to pay for that glorious time was revolting. I was like, no, I wouldn't be able to enjoy the trip. So, yeah.
What scared you the most when you started out on your journey? And does it still scare you today or not?
What scared me the most was that this wouldn't be an attractive option for my demographic that I was targeting to travel, the women. What scares me now is scaling the business. Because just when you think, okay, now, we've had this growth spurt, now we settled down, and now all of a sudden, unexpectedly, you have another growth spurt, and, it's like that scaling thing. And I have an obligation to make sure that I take care of our team and make sure they're okay, not only financially, but mentally, emotionally, and enjoy working here. But I also have a fiduciary responsibility to our clients to make sure that they get what we say they're going to get and that they experience, what we promise. And I think when you're scaling and you're always in that mode, I think it feels a little overwhelming sometimes. I know we need to do this to grow, but do we have the systems in place to do that? And, it's the triaging and the priorities and all that. And thank goodness I have a team that is also acutely aware of those concerns. And we do work together to collaborate and make sure that we deliver excellence. And, our philosophy is that your clients aren't only external, they're internal as well. And so being able to work together with people who have such great ideas and what have you, they take away some of that fear, know?
Yeah, that's interesting. And I think that's super important because you have built a culture, and the whole company started on a culture, the idea of sisterhood and developing that community and that connection. And as you scale, that is still the piece you have to make
exactly.
it. Yeah.
Because you've seen it so many times with organizations, whether they be growing from small to mid-size or mid-size to large or corporate conglomerates, you see where that is so easily taken out of the equation, all the things, and it's very, very difficult as an entrepreneur to know that your obligation is to do what's best for the bottom line. But you have to remember that the bottom line isn't just money. It's about people, right? That's a hard thing to juggle. And I'm sure that you know that for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a balancing act, but the people are, the bottom line actually, I think isn't money. It is the people. It is the business, the heart, the connection, the soul that you have. But you got to make the money fit so that you don't starve to death, right?
Yeah, making that money fit. Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So I'm so interested in this question because you work with women in a travel sense, but did you face any unique challenges because you were a woman?
Yes. I will say that, first of all, ageism is a big thing. So, I am now 66 years old. And so when I officially got the company up and running, it was 60, I guess I was 62 when I started doing this. And I think dealing in an industry that's traditionally been led by men, especially at the supplier level, where I'm asked to negotiate rates and perks and all those kinds of things. The fact that I'm a woman and an older woman at that and wanting to focus on women travel, that was a hard nut to crack. And so I decided one day that I would speak to them just like I've been spoken to in my whole career. And it became I'm not messing around. I can bring a lot to your table. Do you want my business or not? Because guess what? You're not the only game in town. That has helped a lot. Instead of being, nice Stacey. I can still be like nice Stacey, but in a very firm, commanding way.
Yeah.
And so that has helped. The other thing is that women tend to be crueler to other women than even men are sometimes, especially from a sense of competitiveness. And so there have been a lot of people in the industry. I won't say a lot of people in the industry. There have been some people, and remember, I know a lot of people in the industry because of, my other company, but there are some women who have not been pleased at our success, and there have been women who are trying to emulate us, and they can't. Listen, no one is ever going to be Sisterhood Travels except Sisterhood Travels. You know why? Because we have a secret sauce, a special sauce, and they're never going to figure out what that is. Because they're not me.
Yeah.
They're not our women. But, and then I also think that if you look at it, even if I wanted to go after venture capital, less than 2.5% of women-owned businesses are given venture capital.
Yeah.
Now, do I need it to run my business? I do not. Would I want it? It depends on, what type of expansion plans I'm thinking about. But yeah, so there are challenges, but they become less and less because I become stronger and stronger. My team and my company become stronger. And we now have a lot of playing clout that we did not have when I first started.
Yeah. I think that's interesting, the idea of abundance versus scarcity kind of is what it sounds like, like the abundance mindset is there's enough for everybody.
Exactly.
And there'll just be more pie. And the scarcity is like there's only enough pie for 3 people. So if you win, I lose.
And that is what I'm always saying. I'm like, because I love how you refer to it as abundance versus scarcity, because I always talk about that. And I say, how many women are there in this country? You know, in the world, hundreds of millions, right? Billions. They're not all going to be a perfect fit for me. They may be a perfect fit for you. We are not, people always ask me about my competitors. I'll be honest with you. I don't speak about competitors because I don't feel like I have any.
Mm-hmm.
We are special. Those companies are special in whatever they do. And I don't worry that I have to steal their customers, and I would hope they don't think they have to steal mine. You know, we have an 85% return rate from our clients. I think that is phenomenal. Actually, I think it's freaking phenomenal because, you know, in a world where customer loyalty is kind of fly by night, we have women who have taken, you know, many women who have taken 5, 10, 15 trips with us. That's a
Mm-hmm.
lot.
Yeah, that's a lot of
And
travel.
and they keep coming back and they keep bringing people to the table. And, you know, so I'm all about abundance, just like you are. There's
Yeah.
plenty for everyone. I'm going to do me.
Yeah.
You do you. And you do not need to make us enemies. The
Yeah.
only thing that I don't appreciate is when people take my exact verbiage or my lingo. It's amazing how the word, you know, we're trademarked,
Yeah.
but it's amazing how many people are out on the media calling them, you know, trying to use my verbiage about sisterhood.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's not authentic.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
What is the thing, Stacey, that you are most proud of?
My daughter. My daughter is almost 40 years old, and she is now the chief operating officer of our company.
Oh, yay.
And she is the best parts of me, plus more, is how I feel about her, because she is where I am very driven and direct and let's go, let's move, no rest for the weary. My daughter is brilliant, but she's a thinker and an analyst. And she has the ability to look at things from a 360. Now, there are times when that annoys the heck out of me. It's taking too long, okay? But the truth is, I'm going to leave a legacy to her that she is going to make even better than it is now. And then, of course, there's the fact that she's one of the most loving, kindest, compassionate people I've ever met. So I may sound biased because she is my daughter, but I can't think of anyone that I would rather have running my company as I move into, you know, the other parts of the company. But also, she's just a beautiful human being.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Any advice for a young lady who's kind of just starting down the path that you're already so successful at? If somebody were to try and do what you're doing today and just getting started, what would you tell her?
There's a couple of things that I would say. First of all, people love to believe in their own ideas, but we never believe in ourselves as much as the idea.
Mm-hmm.
Learn to believe in yourself first. If you believe in yourself first, you become more confident about your ideas. That's number one. Know your true value. I see so many women who, and I've actually written about this on a couple articles, but I see so many women who underestimate their own value. You know, they price things too low because they think, you know, well, people. And I've learned people are suspicious when things are too cheap.
Yeah.
Because it's not so much about the price, it's about the value. And I say this all the time, and I'm sure you have too. Price is what you pay, value is what you get. If you are thinking about becoming an entrepreneur and starting your own business, never, ever, ever make your decisions based on price. Make them based on value, and make the offer experiences, not things. Like, I don't offer destinations. I offer experiences that connect with people on a whatever level it connects with them. So that would be my number one piece of advice. Believe in yourself. And number two would be value over pricing. And number three, don't let the naysayers talk you out of what you believe in.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
hard. They do tend to have opinions about just about everything, don't they? And sometimes it feels, I don't know, maybe not to you, but to me, sometimes it feels like, well, I don't think I can do what she's doing, so I'm going to tear her down.
That's right. Absolutely. Absolutely. I find women have a habit of tearing each other down. I don't know if it comes from insecurity or jealousy or just cruelty. I'm not sure. But you've seen that meme, I know, that, it says, I don't have to turn off another woman's light bulb for me to shine.
Right. Yeah.
And I feel that way.
Yeah.
Very strongly.
Yeah.
I can be thrilled for you. It does not diminish me in any way. We're sisters, man. I need to applaud you and support you. And, it's amazing. All my life, I thought I was working toward, I've always been a bit of an advocate, not a bit of an advocate. Activist. I have been an activist, but I always thought for women, someday my children, my grandchildren will have a whole new world that I never expected. Never thought I would see happen. And now I'm watching so many changes that feel very horrible to me. And so I think if we women were to stick together and support each other, there would not be so much power to take away what we've worked so hard for,
Yeah. I love that idea. And that really does feed right into your idea of sisterhood and growing and my personal love of empowering women.
Yes.
And I think I think that's the answer is like we do as women, we do have a lot of power and together we're practically unstoppable.
Exactly. The problem is we got to stick together with one voice. Listen, I'm not going to agree with every single thing that everybody on the planet says that, sounds idealistic or what have you. But my role will always be to advocate for women. We should have a place at every table, and our voices matter, and that's, one of the joys for me with what we do is, you want to talk about empowerment is I have watched so many women build brand new life skills. They've never flown before. They've never flown by themselves. They've never traveled out of the country. They don't even know how to pack a suitcase or what a converter and adapter is for foreign currency. They're learning these skills, and the confidence, Lorie, that they are building in themselves. You see them start with, I'm so nervous, which is completely normal and to be expected. And then all of a sudden they're mentoring other women. Well, I did this. You can do it. It's a piece of cake. It's the most beautiful thing to watch women who society is telling us to be invisible, be quiet. We're not interested in what you have to say. And these women are going, oh, heck no. I'm not going to be invisible. I am invincible.
Oh.
And look out, world, here I come. At an age that it's way more satisfying at this age to accomplish new things than it was when we were young. I will say that. I don't know if you find that to be true, but for me, most definitely true.
Oh, I love that. I really do love that.
Yeah.
The invincible, not invisible. And I love the idea of that's what I have some of those same feelings with my clients as I watch them go from being a silent partner financially to taking control of their financial future, to understanding how to do taxes, how to do, banking, how to do investing, and not knowing, being scared, not knowing that they can do it, and then having them turn around and develop that confidence. Like everything you said, I can see in my clients too. And I love that. I love that for them.
Yeah, it's a very big deal because, gosh, I think I've heard so many women, even with my mom or whomever, not believing that they had the power. So many times I hear, "Oh, it's too late for me now. It's too late for me now." No, it's not. Listen, when my grandfather died, my grandmother tripled his estate in the stock market. Okay, she was 80.
Yeah.
So you can't tell me it can't be done, but that's why I also love women like you who are giving women their power back. Yeah. But the women have to be willing to take it back.
They have to be willing to take it. Yeah. Right. I love that. Well, Stacey, I have just loved our conversation. Thank you so much for doing this. Is there, if I have a listener who wants to reach out and ask questions or get the benefit of your wisdom, how do they do that?
So they can go to our website, sisterhoodtravels.com. We have very easy ways to contact us right on the website. And we also have our YouTube channel, which is under Sisterhood Travels. And we highly recommend that women subscribe and watch. We've got video shorts. We've got full episodes. We've got so much on there. And of course, all the social media stuff, which is all those links are available on the website too.
Perfect. And I will put the link to your podcast on that as well, because I know you do a podcast.
Thank you.
So I'll put that in the show notes as well. Thank you so much, Stacey, for your time.
What a great way to spend my time today.
A good way to start the week, right?
Absolutely.
Well, thank you.